The Retroid Pocket 5, what I consider the gold standard for retro handhelds. But with the Retroid Pocket 6 on the horizon, is it worth upgrading? Hey guys, I'm Luke and welcome back to another episode of Triforcedtech, as in this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Retroid Pocket 5, my absolute #1 recommendation when it comes to retro handheld emulation. And that sort of rhymed, but my point is, yeah, this console comes with all the bells and whistles. You get absolutely no compromises when it comes to retro and Android games, and yeah, because of that, I cannot recommend it more. Hell, I love this device so much, I even got a second one. Hell, I even got a third one. Yes, this one I have modded to look like a PlayStation with the PlayStation buttons. And this white one I actually purchased for my wife. She absolutely loves it and plays it more than her Nintendo Switch. And hell, I even got one for the little junior baby Lucas. I got him the Retroid Pocket Mini. Not really, I got this for myself. And yeah, I modded it to look like a GameCube Mini. But my point is, I absolutely love Retroid's handhelds. Hell, I have them all. I mean, I've pretty much been getting them from the very beginning, from the Retroid Pocket 2. No one talks about the Retroid Pocket 1, that's forgotten. But yeah, since the Retroid Pocket 2, they were really put on the map, and they really started the gold standard when it came to retro handhelds. And yeah, with the 2S, I mean, they completely blew it out of the park, and the rest is history. They've been one-upping their consoles with each and every iteration, making it better and better. And of course, with the Retroid Pocket 6, you know, as a fanatic of these consoles, you would think I would want to get it, but honestly, I don't think it's worth it. So in this video, I'm going to get further into why, and let's first talk about the reason why, that being the Retroid Pocket 5, and why I'm choosing to stick with this one. So yeah, I have quite the unhealthy obsession when it comes to these retro handhelds, specifically from this brand, that being Retroid Pocket. Because as mentioned, they are the gold standard when it comes to making these handheld emulation devices. Because you get all the bells and whistles for an affordable price point. It really feels like there are no compromises when it comes to it. And the Retroid Pocket 5 really is perfection when it comes to purchasing a retro handheld and getting everything you need from it, all the way up till PS2 and GameCube. And not only that, obviously with it being an Android-based device, it can play each and every single Android game flawlessly. You're not going to feel like you're having any performance issues. Overall, this device does everything you need it to do and more. And as someone who has purchased 3 of these devices, and even a miniature version, you would think I would be hella excited for the Retroid Pocket 6. But honestly, I don't see the value in upgrading, especially when, again, these devices are absolute perfection when it comes to retro handheld emulation. Because yeah, like mentioned, the Retroid Pocket 5 really has no compromises when it comes to retro handheld emulation. I consider it the final frontier when it comes to these devices, and the upgrade from the Retroid Pocket 4 really warranted an upgrade because, I mean, as you could tell just immediately by looking at the screen, yeah, there is an absolute huge upgrade in how nice and premium the 5 looks compared to the 4. Of course, what immediately makes this device stand out and look so premium compared to others is that 5.5-inch OLED display. And with that front glass panel and no bezels, it is absolutely seamless and just looks so nice. And this especially applies to the black version of the device. Because of that OLED panel and the front glass display, games that are displayed not in 16:9 end up looking so damn good because you can't see the bezels, you can't see a border, it just looks like it melts into the console and you got a small screen, but in reality, you got a larger screen hidden behind it. It is so nice how seamless that is. Of course, that giant, vibrant OLED screen is not the only reason in why this device looks and feels so premium. Really, everything about this device feels premium. We have analog triggers, which is perfect for GameCube emulation. We also have Hall effect analog sticks, which feels so nice. I mean, you get the full range of motion. There are absolutely no compromises, and with them being Hall effect, we don't have to worry about Joy-Con drift. And the cherry on top is that LED light in the back, which, yeah, you can customize, you know, change to your liking or turn off completely. Overall, I absolutely love these because it reminds me of the Nintendo Switch 2, and with how Nintendo is only customizing the color around the stick, this is absolutely perfect for being able to change and customize your device. Even if you got a plain black model, you know, the blue light kind of fits with the background, and the custom backplate that I have, which, yeah, overall just kind of ties the device together and makes it personalized for my liking. Especially when I add these ergonomic grips that Retroid officially sells, which really adds to the color scheme I'm going for and makes the device even more ergonomically nice to hold. And speaking of ergonomics, yeah, the Retroid Pocket 5 was the first in their line to add these ergonomic bumps in the back. The Retroid Pocket 4 looked more like a Nintendo Switch Lite, which was completely flat in the back. Same goes for the 3. The 3 looks exactly like this, just a little bit smaller. And yeah, even the 2, it was absolutely flat in the back. And I don't mind this, but this can add a little, you know, more comfortability. It really depends on what game I'm playing. Like if it's D-pad centric, I absolutely love it. But if it's analog centric, it actually becomes really annoying and kind of hard to hold. But that's where these grips become super useful, because when I'm holding these grips and then I use the analog stick, it feels super comfortable. So overall, even if you're not trying to play retro games and you want an analog centric game, with these grips, you're gonna have no compromises, even if you have ginormous hands like mine. The Pocket 5 also has a 5,000 milliamp battery, which is about the standard for most phones and retro handhelds now, and it's going to keep you gaming all day as long as you're not doing too heavy gaming. But for the most part, this has an amazing standby mode, obviously with it being Android, and you can keep the device on for weeks before it depletes battery. And obviously if you're using it every day, it will deplete a lot faster, but in general, when it comes to retro gaming, you can play endlessly on it. And when it comes to the stronger emulation consoles, yeah, those might deplete the battery a little bit quicker, but overall, you know, you're not really going to notice that you have to charge this too often, at least not more than once a day. In terms of cooling, the device does have a fan that does a really good job at keeping the device cool. It is a little bit loud when you turn it on to the max, but I mean, that's not really much of an issue. I'd rather deal with that than worry about getting, you know, a spicy pillow or anything. But overall, yeah, you're never really going to feel the device get warm, even on high-end games, as long as you do have the fan blasting. I'd say the only time the device might get warm is when you're charging it. And I highly suggest not playing the, you know, device when charging it, because you don't want to end up with a spicy pillow. But overall, yeah, the device does keep itself relatively cool, and you don't really have to worry about that factor. Of course, with Retroid prioritizing these devices for retro emulation and not necessarily Android, while again you can do it and play all high-end Android games without a compromise, they're mainly meant for, you know, retro handheld games. And the main retro handheld games you're going to be playing are Nintendo and PlayStation, right? At least that's the ones we have most consoles of. And I believe that is kind of what inspired their design philosophy, as they usually go with Nintendo face buttons, but then again they have the PlayStation-esque D-pad, and because of that, you know, you kind of have the best of both worlds. It does kind of, you know, make playing PlayStation games a little bit confusing, but again, you can do what I did and mod the device and add custom PlayStation face buttons, which I got from Etsy, and I absolutely love them. So yeah, since I do have multiple Retroid Pockets, I decided to turn this one into a PlayStation-only retro handheld, as I have PlayStation 2, 1, Vita, and PSP, and overall it just feels so much better playing these games on it when I do have these buttons. Shout out to, I believe, Sakura Modding. I'm going to make sure to link these in the description in case you want them, because they're so freaking nice, and yeah, they feel absolutely amazing. Again, no compromises. Modding these devices, they do take time, but Retroid knows a lot of people are going to want a button swap. Hell, they sell their own button swaps. I mean, that's how I was able to make this GameCube version of my Retroid Pocket Mini, by using actually the Retroid Pocket 5 face buttons. I had to like force them in the Mini because the Mini, the buttons were really bad. So I'm using 5 buttons, and then yeah, luckily, since all of these devices are kind of universal and use the same really nice Hall effect analog sticks, you can easily take these off and swap them with one another, and that way I was able to get, you know, more of a GameCube color scheme for this one. This is overall just like a miniature version of the 5. You know, it has very similar specs and everything, but sadly with how they, you know, forced the screen to be 4x3 when it was actually a little bit bigger and meant to be the exact same size actually as the Retroid Pocket Classic, yeah, it kind of just killed off this device. This device felt like the spiritual successor to the 2, which is my absolute favorite in terms of form factor, but yeah, sadly with how they compromised the screen and overall didn't give us the best bang for our buck, I still think the 5 is the king when it comes to retro handhelds because, yeah, sure, you're getting a 16:9 screen and you may be playing retro games, but again, if you get the black version, you don't have to worry about that because you're not going to notice any bezels or any, you know, black bars because it's just going to look seamless, again, with any, you know, 4x3 or just, you know, square screen game. You don't have to worry about that, even Game Boy Advance. And again, this is what I mean. So yeah, while Game Boy Advance isn't necessarily 16:9, you can't tell. It looks like the screen is the proper aspect ratio because of, again, the front glass display, having it bleed into the screen. And so because of that, you don't actually notice, and I didn't mean to do that. Let's force it in landscape mode because that is pretty annoying. But speaking of what just happened there, while it was on accident, maybe that's a good thing because it will help me segue into how Retroid optimizes these Android handhelds, because yeah, you're gonna have all the stuff you need when it comes to making these devices feel more retro handheld friendly, if that makes any sense. Like, they make sure to give you all sorts of things. Being able to swap your face button controller style, as you can see, I have retro, which is based off Nintendo, but let's say you want it to be more of an Xbox fashion, you can actually swap it to that. So it's really nice that you're given that option. So if you're playing like Android games and, you know, you don't want to swap A and B, and you want it to be more of a similar layout to an Xbox controller, you can easily do that. Also, again, you can mod your device by taking out these face buttons and just swapping the placement, which shouldn't be too hard to do. So in general, you're not limited to just one way of playing things, and obviously, like shown before, you can outright swap them to completely different custom-made buttons like the PlayStation ones. And like mentioned before, it's not just for retro emulation. You can play all the latest and greatest Android games perfectly with pretty much max quality, not having to worry about any slowdown or anything. Again, the chipset in this device is more than enough for really everything you throw at it. Obviously, with the surge of Game Hub and being able to run low-end Steam games on your Android, maybe this device isn't the strongest and will be able to play everything flawlessly, but you'll still be able to get around a lot of, you know, low-end Steam games, which is nice, but in general, I mean, you shouldn't be buying this device for that aspect. And of course, there are people who would rather play Switch games on their retro handheld. But again, remember, this is a retro handheld. While it can play a few Switch games you throw at it, it won't do it too well. And of course, there are better devices for that. But again, you shouldn't be buying it for that. Pretty much the highest in terms you can go comfortably with emulation would be Nintendo Wii U, which isn't really retro either. I mean, it's getting pretty old, but yeah, Wii U actually runs pretty well, at least when it comes to games like Twilight Princess HD or the Wind Waker HD. Not so much Breath of the Wild. You're gonna have to do a lot of tinkering to even get that to run somewhat decently, install turn-up drivers, all that jazz. Overall, Cemu, the emulator I'm using, is in its early stages when it comes to Android, so that's probably a reason why, but I'm not gonna lie, games like the Wind Waker run pretty damn well. I can play this whole game on it. And with that OLED screen, I mean, being able to play Wind Waker HD in the palm of my hands is pretty damn nice, because we have yet to get this on the Nintendo Switch or Switch 2. The only thing we have is the original release of the Wind Waker, and yeah, that ain't so good. Of course, it's not flawless. There are going to be some dips, some lag, some slowdown, all that jazz. Again, you know, Cemu is in its early stages. If you really want to play the Wind Waker on this device, I would advise playing the GameCube version, and you can add a 16:9 widescreen hack and even better textures. So, I mean, you'll still get a pretty nice experience. Still better than the Nintendo Switch 2, you know, because all the quality of life changes this game added made the original unplayable, and luckily on emulation, you can add all of those quality of life changes that were fan-made. But I mean, overall, this is pretty damn good, right? Like, Wii U runs pretty well. Of course, the one biggest issue though I have with Wii U emulation is, let's say I put this on standby, you know, I want to put it in my pocket, go do something. When I turn it back on, yeah, Cemu completely resets. So you're going to lose your save if you didn't save before putting it on standby, and that can get annoying. But overall, again, for this being in its early stages, it's pretty cool that we even have this option. But when it does come to high-end retro emulation, like the PlayStation 2, it works absolutely flawlessly. Not only can I play the PlayStation 2 really well, but also I can upscale it to 2, even 3 times the resolution without any slowdowns, and pretty much every and any game works pretty well. Some games you will have to tweak things, but overall, you can manage to play most games on it. And here I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game that can have widescreen enabled, that being Shadow of the Colossus, pretty much my favorite PlayStation 2 game. And while this does have an HD remake on the PlayStation 4 and 5, this is the only way I can actually play it in a handheld form without being connected to the internet, because of course there is the PlayStation Portal, but that's not good enough. Being able to play the original version in handheld form is so amazing. It really is a dream come true that I can actually do this. And it's a shame that Sony didn't give me the ability to do this. I had to, you know, use a emulation device to do this. But yeah, I mean, look at that. Again, I would rather, yeah, play it like this over any other way. It runs so well. I literally have the quality like 3 times the resolution. And again, there will be slowdowns every here and there, at least with the high-end games. But for the most part, it's pretty damn flawless. And like, you know, coming into emulation, you have to know there will be some compromises. It's not going to feel one-to-one like how it is to play on original hardware. But again, we've come so far, the fact that we can do this. I'm getting some slowdown, but I do believe it will pick up. Let's go ahead and actually test this out a little bit more. So let's hop on aggro and get moving. So yeah, as you can see, I have 3 times the native resolution. I'm going to go ahead and drop it to 2 and see if that makes it run smoother. And oh, much better. And it still looks really good. Like, it's not nearly as pixelated as it would have been if I'm having, obviously, the native resolution. So yeah, there you go. A little tweaking every here and there will just kind of make these games run smoother. But overall, I mean, it's not the best chipset, but for what you get when it comes to retro emulation, you're going to be able to play it. So I can't complain. GameCube, I want to say, runs a little bit better than PlayStation 2. Like mentioned, there will be some dips every here and there, but for the most part, it's running really, really well. Let's have these mini blends show up. Oh, and the rumble, I mean, it really does feel like HD rumble. A lot of retro handhelds usually have really crappy motors. This feels so good. I'm not lying. I can feel like where the cannon is shooting from which direction, because it depends on like which side of the console rumbles. And it is so nice. And here, yeah, you'd get a lot of slowdown because of the mini blends. But as you can see, pretty damn well. Like, again, when shaders do load, usually it will cause slowdown. But like, as you continue playing the game, it's gonna lag less and less. And it will just run even smoother. So yeah, this is so nice. I would much rather play GameCube on this than any other thing, because again, I have the option of, you know, using all the perks that comes with emulation, from being able to mod the game, to add new features, to swap my model, to even just transfer my save to a different retro handheld if I want to upgrade or just change, you know, the environment or play it on something else. You have all that and more, which, yeah, is just so nice. I mean, this looks so beautiful on the OLED, especially with how vibrant Wind Waker is. And again, because I'm playing on the black model, I don't notice that this is a 16:9 console. It just looks like the screen is meant to be 4:3, and it's all meant to be. It's so beautiful. But yeah, what can I say? The Retroid Pocket 5 is amazing. Any and all retro games you throw at it, it will play to some degree. And on top of that, I mean, even when it comes to 3DS and DS, them being dual screen games, you can enjoy them without compromise. And what I mean by that is, well, Retroid actually introduced an add-on for their devices. That add-on is the Retroid Pocket dual screen add-on. You know, pretty self-explanatory. It's an extra screen, pretty much the exact same screen that they use for the Retroid Pocket 5. So it's a nice 5.5-inch OLED panel, and yeah, you can pretty much turn your Retroid Pocket 5 into a dual screen device. So just like that, we snap it in, and within seconds, there we go. We have it on, but okay, I had it really low brightness. Let's turn it up so it can match the bottom screen. There we go. And voila! Just like that, we have a dual screen retro handheld that now can play 3DS games and DS games, again, without compromise, as if we boot up a game, it will seamlessly load both screens in their correct orientation where they need to be, and everything just works. I don't know why my notification went off on my Pocket 4, but yeah, there we go. Look at how beautiful that is. And of course, with it being emulation, we can benefit from the upscale, turning this from 3D into HD, and having the bottom screen available at all times, being able to touch it is so nice. I mean, it really is a 3DS with, again, no compromises outside of, again, the 3D, but, you know, I'd much rather have an OLED HD panel than a really low resolution 3D panel. So yeah, this to me is the best way to play even 3DS games. And while of course there will be some slowdown again, even 3DS isn't absolutely optimized and hasn't been around as long as like Dolphin has when it comes to GameCube emulation. It overall runs pretty well. Like, you can play all of Ocarina of Time on this. Again, when shaders are loading, you might have slowdown and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, it runs really well. As you can see, I've done the first dungeon, and yeah, hadn't had any issues. Like, I can totally see myself completing this game on this device, and being able to immediately swap to the bottom screen, or not even have to swap, because before, if I played it on a single, you know, screen, I would either have to have the screen be really small in the corner or jump back and forth. But yeah, having access to the bottom screen at all times, it really makes every and any 3DS and DS game feel really nice on this. Again, plus with the better ergonomics, and again, just overall an OLED panel, it being Android, being able to easily just pop it in, you know, well, not so much your pocket anymore with the grip in this, but luckily they do have literally a carrying case for this exact occasion. Like, yeah, this is literally meant to carry the dual screen add-on and the grip, which, yeah, is really nice. All of this officially from Retroid. You would think I'm sponsored with how much I'm glazing Retroid, but that's just how much I love this company. As you can tell, like, yeah, they are my go-to when it comes to retro handhelds, and I use their devices more than any other device that I have, like even more than my Nintendo Switch 2. And of course, when I turn it back on, it takes a second, but there you go. See, again, seamless. You don't have to worry. Once you know, tinker and add all your emulations and, you know, emulators, that is, and ROMs and everything, it really does become seamless. And using something like Emulation Station, which is my absolute favorite front end, if you ever do get a retro handheld, you need to be using this. This is how you navigate all your games seamlessly. But using that, and then using on the bottom screen the companion app that they added for it, it literally makes navigating Emulation Station feels so nice because look at that. Literally the bottom screen reflects artwork on the game that I'm looking at. So, you know, hopefully they can do something a little bit more. It is a little bit minimal and, you know, not much going on, but at least it's interacting with the top screen and we're getting, you know, like information or at least like some artwork on the game that we are looking at, which, yeah, is just such a nice feature. I'm so glad they did this. It wasn't necessarily for the, you know, dual screen add-on, but at least a dual screen add-on can benefit from it. I feel like the reason why there is so much like effort being put into dual screen handheld emulation is because the AYN Thor, you know, that absolutely blew the hell up. But again, you can just do this. This is, you know, the AYN Thor at home. You have a really nice retro handheld that is just a single screen, but boom, with a $60 add-on, you turned it into a 3DS or DS just like that. And yeah, overall, this is cheaper, all of it, including the grip, the screen, the actual Retroid Pocket. You're going to be paying less for all of this than just purchasing an AYN Thor outright that, yeah, sure, has the dual screen and a clamshell form factor, but I don't see the point in getting it. This is, by the way, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, which essentially is a Retroid Pocket 5, but in a flip form factor. I guess I should show this off and, you know, maybe recommend it as well. If for some reason you prefer, you know, a DS or SP style kind of, you know, flip open device, it does make it more pocket friendly and protects obviously what matters, that being the screen and face button. So yeah, this is a really nice, you know, alternative for those who really do like the Retroid Pocket 5 and want something like it, because you get the exact same OLED screen and everything, you know, the lights. There really is no difference outside of, I guess, the analog placement, which is kind of nice, I guess, if you want a better grip without having to add an actual grip to it. Yeah, playing analog-centric games feel really nice, but playing D-pad-centric games feel a little bit weird because I have to lower my fingers down here. But overall, yeah, this is just the same device in a different form factor. But yeah, now that we've talked so much about the 5 and how nice it is and why it's so worth it and why I recommend it, let's talk about why I am not getting the 6. So again, as a Retroid Pocket fanatic who pretty much owns all of the models, why am I not getting the 6? Well, the main reason is because there isn't really much of an upgrade between the 5 and the 6 that warrants buying another one. Especially again, when I technically not only have 3 of these, but 4, because again, you can consider this the 5 just in a different form factor. But also the fact that, yeah, when I had purchased the 4 and used it and absolutely loved it, when I saw the 5, I saw a reason to upgrade. Immediately it being the screen and overall the way it looked, yeah, that alone was worth the upgrade. But when comparing the 5 to now the 6, there really isn't much of an upgrade, even when it comes down to how it looks. So yeah, to quickly break it down, the Retroid Pocket 6 just doesn't have enough new things going for it to warrant an upgrade from the Retroid Pocket 5. Like overall, if I were to get the 6, I wouldn't really notice much of a difference outside of its slightly different form factor, a better refresh rate, because while it does have the same 5.5 OLED display, it has 120 refresh rate instead of just the 60, which, you know, will be kinda nice and smooth, especially for FPS snobs. But for me, I don't really see a point, especially when none of the retro games will run that high. Another thing is the battery. The Retroid Pocket 6 has a 6,000 milliamp. Get it? Because it's the Retroid Pocket 6, so 6,000, and the 5 has 5,000. But that 1,000 extra, you're not really going to notice too much. Really, the only major difference that makes it worth upgrading would be the chipset, as the Retroid Pocket 6 has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And while that chipset definitely is better than what the Retroid Pocket 5 is rocking, you're not going to notice that much of a difference in terms of performance, as I have the Odin 2 Mini, which is using the exact same chipset the Retroid Pocket 6 is using, and this device is well over a year old. I mean, like, that same chipset was used on many premium retro handhelds years ago already. And I'll be honest, while the Odin 2 Mini is my personal favorite handheld, mainly because it looks like a PlayStation Vita, I wouldn't recommend it over the Retroid Pocket 5. One, because they don't sell this anymore. Two, it's overpriced for what it is, and I feel like you get way more bang for your buck when it comes to the Retroid Pocket 5. And three, I really don't notice that much of a difference when it comes to playing all these retro games and Android games. Like, overall, everything that I play on this, I can play on my Retroid Pocket 5. There is really no difference. And not to sound too hyperbolic, because obviously there is some difference. I mean, I'm not going to get the exact same performance I get on the Retroid Pocket 5. There will be a lot less slowdowns and overall less emulation glitches when it comes to this chipset. Again, you're not really going to notice that much of a difference, if at all. Like, I'll be honest, I find myself still using the Retroid Pocket 5 more than I even use my Odin 2 Mini. The Odin 2 Mini is just more pocket-friendly, as honestly, don't get me wrong, while I love me some booty, I'm not really a fan of the booty on retro handhelds, mainly because it makes it not pocket-friendly. So really the only thing that's winning in terms of the Odin 2 Mini is the fact that it's slim and easier to fit in my pocket like a PlayStation Vita. But overall, if I want to sit comfortably and game, I would much rather use the Retroid Pocket 5, especially again when I have the option of adding this grip and, of course, this dual screen add-on. But of course, I'm not here to compare the Odin 2 Mini with the Retroid Pocket 5. I'm comparing the Retroid Pocket 5 with the Retroid Pocket 6. And another thing that makes the 5 stand out and overall my preferred choice over the 6 is the dual screen add-on. Because yeah, Retroid definitely designed this product specifically for the Retroid Pocket 5. While it does work on the Retroid Pocket Mini and the Retroid Pocket 4, it doesn't feel the same. And the reason for that is because the Retroid Pocket 5, you can have it be symmetrical with the actual console. Like, it is perfectly in place, centered and everything. If you try to put it on the 4, well, the charging port, which I can't get to focus, but as you can see, it's not centered. It should be like right here if it was properly centered. So because of that, if you do put it on this device, it will literally be off center and kind of look like this. Which, yeah, would not be nice when you're trying to play like 3DS games or DS games seamlessly. The Mini, though, it is centered, but it doesn't feel as comfortable, especially when you have these ergonomic grips for the 5. And of course, the reason why this is an issue for the 6 is because just like the 4, it has an off-centered USB-C slot. So yeah, because of that, it will be off-center and overall look really bad. Like, I've seen videos on it, and I would not want to play games on it like that. I mean, imagine playing games like Sonic Rush with a screen that's off-centered. It would feel so weird, because the way this game works is, yeah, you transition from one screen to... I'm waiting for it to happen. There we go, from one screen to the other. Like, imagine doing that when the screens aren't aligned properly. It would look so weird and wrong. And yeah, overall, I don't think the game is supposed to be, you know, played that way. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. My point is, it's a real shame that the Retroid Pocket 6, the newest Retroid device, won't make the dual screen add-on feel as comfortable and nice as it did on the Retroid Pocket 5. So yeah, overall, the Retroid Pocket 5 still feels like a better choice, especially if you're considering the dual screen add-on, and in general, with it being cheaper and being able to play pretty much all the retro games you can throw at it, there really is no point to want to upgrade if you're actually getting some compromises as a result. Because again, if a better chipset is the main reason in why you're upgrading, then you're not really going to notice it if retro games are the main thing you want to play on it. Again, it will give you better luck with high-end stuff, but it's not going to be that noticeable. And don't get me wrong, the Retroid Pocket 5 has an absolutely gorgeous design to it, so I understand why the Retroid Pocket 6 looks very much the same. You know, what ain't broke, don't fix, but I mean, it would have been nice for them to change it up a little bit. Like, actually, this would have completely changed my opinion on the Retroid Pocket 6 had they had kept the original design that they originally showed way back when they first revealed the product. I'll make sure to throw an image on screen, but yeah, the Retroid Pocket 6 originally was going for a more retro look. It kind of reminded me of the Retroid Pocket 2, where it had these additional buttons on the bottom and overall made the speakers kind of look like it's a TV or something. Again, very similar to the Retroid Pocket 2, but it's a shame that they completely threw out that design and went for the exact same look of the Retroid Pocket 5. And it's funny, because I actually preferred that original design they first showed off, with the buttons on the bottom. Again, it gave it more of a retro look, and made it look different than the Retroid Pocket 5. But sadly, they received controversy for trying to change things up, and ended up making a poll on whether or not to go back to this more minimal look like the 5, or do that newer look, and sadly, the majority voted for this minimal look. Which again is somewhat funny to me, because I assume most of the people who voted are like me, retro enthusiasts, and you would think they would want their device to look more retro, not more modern. I mean, this is a retro handheld after all. Yeah, we want modern features and better display and everything, but again, adding that kind of quirky, retro vibe with, again, how this looked on the bottom just would have been so nice, and again, made it look different than the 5. But sadly, since the majority voted for that minimal look, we ended up with another device that looks borderline the same. Yeah, it's cool that you can swap the analog for the D-pad and you can choose which variant you want, but that's not really enough to make me want to buy a new one. And yeah, they even added an M1 and an M2 button on the back, but again, we could have had way more buttons if we added that bottom section. Like, it's making me realize maybe it's not just the company that's lame and going for the minimal look. It's actually the consumers. They don't want anything different. But I mean, even with that design change, I don't think I still would have wanted the Retroid Pocket 6, but it definitely would have made me consider it a little bit more. Overall, I'm not making this video necessarily to hate on the Retroid Pocket 6. I still think it's a really cool device, and if I didn't have the 5, I would totally pick it up. But again, I have quite a bit of 5, so I'm in no rush to get the 6, and I'm probably just gonna skip out on it entirely. So yeah, the Retroid Pocket 5 is still going to be my #1 recommended retro handheld of all time, at least until there is something that is for a similar price point and somewhat better. But again, this delivers on all the bells and whistles. You get everything you need. There is nothing that I feel like this device is holding back on, like truly, from the OLED screen, Hall effect, analog stick, the analog triggers, the nice ergonomics that you can have, the fact that you can add a second screen. Again, no compromises when it comes to this device. And while the 6 is technically better in performance, you're actually going to be compromising on being able to use this dual screen add-on if you do have that one and not the 5. And overall, again, it's not significant enough to upgrade. And if you don't have either, I still would recommend getting the 5 over the 6, because it will give you room to upgrade to the dual screen properly and comfortably, and also it's just cheaper. So in general, you're going to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to playing retro games. Another reason why I generally recommend it over any handheld device really is when it comes to something like the Logitech Cloud, which is meant for cloud gaming and has a really weak Android-based system on it. You are going to end up paying $200 for this, when again, the Retroid Pocket is cheaper and you can do so much more on it, and it's so much more powerful, and you can still play your cloud-based games and, be able to remote play every and anything on it because it's Android-based. So there's really no reason. Same goes for the PlayStation Portal. Like, this is also $200, and you can do the exact same thing you can do on the Retroid Pocket 5, but you get the OLED screen and all the upgrades. Sure, the screen itself isn't the same size, but this is more pocket-friendly and better as a handheld because, yeah, truly, it's easier to carry. So, yeah, overall, the Retroid Pocket 5 is the best Android-based handheld in my eyes of all time when it comes to, again, its price point, what you can do with it, and really everything it has to offer. Like, if, again, you're not even in the market for retro gaming and you just want cloud-based gaming, you want like some kind of handheld, do not buy this trash. I made the mistake, and that's why I'm making this video, to put that out there. Like, I bought this way back before I really got into the Retroid Pockets, and little did I know that this is an overpriced piece of trash because, yeah, Logitech charging you premium for something that is so much weaker and overall so much worse than something like this. Yeah, this is from a Chinese manufacturer. But to be honest, the Logitech, the Sony, everything's made in China anyways, so I don't know why we would even have that, like, kind of, you know, preference, because yeah, the Chinese handhelds, the whole, like, you know, Chinese aftermarket, third party, whatever you want to call it, they're better quality than the first party stuff out there. Like, I kid you not. Everything about this feels better than a Nintendo Switch, which really is such a shame, because yeah, you would think Nintendo would be the pioneers, but truly, like, again, I made this joke with the controllers. Like, back then, you would give your friend the third-party controller. Nowadays, I want the third-party controller, because that should be amazing. Like, it feels better. It got the Hall effect, it got the analog triggers, it got everything that Nintendo doesn't even give us. So yeah, my whole point is, if you are someone on the fence and you're like, oh, I don't want to buy like a Chinese handheld, this seems kind of weird, I might be ripped off. No, Retroid Pocket proves to be the gold standard in the fact that you can rely on something like this. So yeah, if you don't have a Retroid Pocket 5 and you're looking, you know, for something to get, this again is my #1 recommendation. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Retroid, what your favorite retro handheld is, overall what you think of this video, what else you'd like to see me talk about. Anyways, that about does it for this episode of Triforce Tech. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Luke, and I'll see you all in the next one.